Hi everyone, welcome to another Scryfall Shenanigans episode. So, a little bit different form of slicing in this episode. I am going to be looking at a single set, so I'm going to be looking at M10. But something I started thinking about recently, or returned to thinking about recently, is the whole idea of, unique cards in core sets. So, if you're familiar with how core sets have evolved over time, you'll probably know that from M10 onwards, it was roughly a 50-50 split between new cards and reprints, whereas prior to that, core sets historically had always been 100% reprints, from reprints of cards that came previously. The one exception of something you could effectively call a core set or a base set would have been Alpha, because of course Magic hadn't existed before Alpha, so to all intents and purposes that fulfilled the role of a core set, but there were no cards before that. So what I thought it'd be interesting to do is look at M10, which was the first core set to have roughly 50-50 split, and we'll look at actually what the split was in a moment, and focus in on unique cards, so cards that are still unique to this day. So they were printed in M10 for the first time and they haven't been reprinted as of this video. But before we do that, I thought I'd introduce an interesting section to this ongoing series, where I think going forward I'm going to do a little bit about certain searches in Scryfall, and we'll focus in on the syntax stuff, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So, reprints. This is what we're going to be talking about today. So you can see here it says you can find reprints with is reprint, cards that were new in their set with not reprint, and cards that have only been in a single set with is unique. You can also compare the number of times a card has been printed with syntax like prints equals 1, or the number of sets a card has been in with sets equals 1. So you compare the number of times a card has been printed with syntax like prints equals 1, or the number of sets a card has been in with sets equals 1. And you can probably think there where there might be difference. So think about a set like Homelands, maybe. I think that's it. Or sets we've been looking at, old sets we've been looking at recently, where you've maybe got multiple prints of the same card. Or recently, of course, where they, it's a big thing now, doing, multiple prints of the same card. These can also be compared, including only paper sets with paper prints and paper sets. So, and you can see some examples here. So just to go through that with some actual real examples, and to show you how some of these, depending on what you put in, will give similar results to specific keywords, specific search keywords. So first up, if we look at M10 as a whole, 249 cards in boosters. Okay. If we look at cards that are reprints in M10, it's 123. And if we slice by not reprint, it's 111. Now, of those cards that are not reprints, if we then talk about uniqueness, so cards that have been printed exactly once and the cards aren't reprints, so as of the date when I'm recording this video, which is, it'll get recorded a week or so before it's released, so I recorded this on the 18th of 9th 2024, just as a reference there. So 18th of September 2024. There's 26 cards that fall into this category. Now, as I pointed out, if you were to do this, you get the same results. Sets equals 1, and if you do this, you get the same results. But where this becomes very powerful is because this is a single keyword which you can say either is or not. But this, of course, you can alter the number. So then that's where it gets, you know, if you're like me and like to slice, you know, basically do Scryfall shenanigans, durdle around in Scryfall, then yeah, this is great fun. So we know there's 26 cards where they've, you know, they're unique to this set. So what if we do this? M10 cards which have occurred more than once, we get 208. And of course we can go down, so cards that have occurred more than twice, more than 3 times, more than 4 times. In fact, if we, well, let's leave it at that moment, but probably logically what might make a bit more sense is to do greater than equal if you're trying to think about this. But, you know, so what this is saying is greater than 4 times, so it's 5, you know, 5 or greater. Greater than 5 times. So you can see some of these cards have been reprinted quite a few times, or sorry, are in like more than one set. So that they're either reprints of original cards or they've been reprinted. So either or. Now, of course, what you could do is get a bit clever with your searches. You could do things like, okay, show me just the cards that were new to M10 and then play around with the paper sets value in addition, so that it would show you like how many times it had been reprinted after that, after M10, if at all. And maybe we'll look at that in a moment. So 7. Wow. So this tells me quite a bit, because I suspect a lot of these cards got continually reprinted in earlier core sets or subsequent core sets. So yeah, you can see we've got to go up quite high to get this down. So let's jump ahead here rather than go through the whole lot. So we go up to 20. Wow. Let's go up to 30. Okay, I don't know how surprised people are about this. Okay, yeah, I forgot actually. I should have excluded the land, shouldn't I? Okay, so let's start that guessing game. So 45, 46. Oh, that Terramorphic Expanse and Syrah Angel. Where's the cutoff? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that tells me that Syrah Angel and Terramorphic Expanse have been in 47 sets. So greater than 46. So if I go up to 47 or greater than 47, then it's only the land. Now, I mentioned something a moment ago. So if I was to do, where's it gone? Is reprints. I want to do is not reprint. So it's not a reprint. So this isn't going to change anything. Hang on, let me just show you what's going on here. We'll do that first of all. Okay, so not reprinted, and then paper sets equals 1 is the same as doing unique. In fact, as I pointed out, paper sets equals 1 is the same as doing unique. But where it gets interesting is, I think if we do this, because then we're now saying, well, there's 85 cards of the stuff that isn't reprints or hasn't been reprinted from earlier sets that have then subsequently been reprinted. And then again, you can sort of go up through this. So this time round, I'm just looking at the cards that appeared for the first time in M10. They're not reprints. So again, let's see if with this group of cards where the threshold might be. Oh, there we go. So Acidic Slime, first printed in M10, and then it's in more than 15 paper sets. So yeah, more than 15 paper sets. Obviously included M10, more including M10. So yeah, reprinted 15 more times. That's another way to think about it. Ooh. Let's go up to 20. What do you reckon it is going to be at this point? I reckon possibly Act of Treason. Act of Treason, Sign in Blood. Act of Treason's been reprinted quite a few times. Well, there you go. Acidic Slime. Oh, is that because of all? Interesting. Well, that's curious. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so look at all the different variants here. $26. Huh. So if I do that as 25. Oh, I know why. Because what's happening here? Let me go back down again. There we go. Interesting. 21. And 22, okay. Oh, paper sets, that might be why there. Yeah, because when you do view all prints, that also includes Magic Online promos. So that's why. Yeah. Sometimes they're easier to spot than others. You can sort of look at the finish on them. And it's including extras as well. So again, this is why it's important to really understand like what the different searches do. So you can see that that's doing a slightly different search there when you do view all prints. So again, you can play around with ideas like that as well. What I wanted to do is just go backwards. I wanted to see at the point at which the other two get filtered out. There we go. So at the point where it's greater than 17. Cool. Okay, anyway. I thought that'd be interesting. Interesting for me anyway, hopefully for everybody watching this. So let's go back to what I suppose this episode, the main focus of this episode, although I've probably just spent quite a while going through that search, but hopefully I'll encourage you to play around with stuff like that. So yeah, 26 unique cards in here. So let me just scroll down through these. I'm probably not going to spend as much time as I usually do, like drilling down because of the preamble. But we've got, in terms of, we're sorting this by price. Actually, before we do that, let me just go back to here so you can get an overall feel before we look at the price. So we've got 3 in white, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in blue, 3 in black, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is that in red, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 in green, I think, and then 2 artifacts. I've sliced these by colour anyway when we go through, but just as an overall feel there for what that looks like. This is what we're setting ourselves up for. So, yep, so Sphinx Ambassador, 674. Mage Bane Armour. It'd be interesting as well to see how much the errated rules text changes from the original, if at all. 124. So this is a reasonably cheap group of cards, I suppose. So 26 of these, and the most expensive is 674, and then it starts to really drop off. 124, 62 cents. And you can see, as well as I pointed out in previous episodes, with some of these, the errata is just like a tightened up version, based on the way newer cards are worded, and sort of have removed like surplus wording. Mirror of Fate, Mould Adder, which is a fungus snake. I don't know if any of the, I didn't look to check actually to see if any of these had creature type erratas. I don't think so. We might get to something. 29 US cents. Oh, Great Sable Stag was in here, of course. Can't be counted. Protection from blue and black. Zephyr Sprite, 1 for 1 with flying, 18 cents. Rock's Pike Master. Creature Rhino Soldier, first strike. Other soldier creatures you control first strike. Burst of Speed. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. Sorcery. Serpent of the Endless Sea. It's a creature serpent. Yawning Fisher, which is an interesting land hate sorcery where each opponent sacrifices a land for 4 and a red. Convincing Mirage, 12 cents. So enchants a land as it enters the battlefield, choose a basic land type. Enchanted land is the chosen type. Dread Warlock, 12 cents. Can't be blocked except by black creatures. 2/2 for 3. Wall of Faith. It's got Defender, and for a single white, Wall of Faith gets +0/+1 until end of turn. So 0/5. Killinor Bat, 2/1 with flying for 2 and a black. Illusionary Servant has flying, so 3-drop, so 3/4, 3-drop, 3/4, 1 and 2 blue. And when it becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. So you get 3/4 for 3 with flying, but and the downside is this business that you get with illusions. Not all illusions, like some older illusions don't have this illusion downside on them. And there was an interesting blue, I'm trying to think what they called the decks now, but I don't know if you remember those decks which had 60 cards that had a sideboard, and they came out in parallel with sets, and the idea was they were stronger, had more powerful cards in them than, say, an intro deck, and they were designed to be sort of ready to go if you wanted to play, I don't know, FNM, something like that. But there was a blue one that was based around illusions, but I'm having trouble remembering what set it was. Jackal Familiar, 2/2 for single red. So getting a 2/2 for 1 is good. So what's its downside? Well, it can't attack or block alone. Regenerate, 1 and a green, regenerate target creature. Instant speed. Inferno Elemental, 4/4 for 6. When it ever blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, Inferno Elemental gets 3 damage to that creature. Mist Leopard, 3/2 for 4 with Shroud. And then we haven't stopped there because we've only got to 20. Soul Bleed, it's an aura, so you enchant a creature with it, and at the beginning of the upkeep of the enchanted creature controller, that player loses 1 life. Bramble Creeper, 0/3 for 5, and when it attacks it gets +5, +0 until the end of turn. Emerald Oryx has Forest Walk on it, so you can see the wording here is slightly changed on the reminder text. So down here on the original it says this creature is unblockable as long as defending player controls a forest, and then it's been errated to that this creature can't be blocked as long as defending player controls a forest. So I just moved around the words a bit. Entangling Vines, another aura, enchanted tapped creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So we're getting down pretty cheap now. Viashino, Spear Hunter, 2/1 for 3 with First Strike. Disorient. It's an interesting blue spell. You've seen similar things before where they do this minus on the power but don't affect the toughness. So -7, -0 until end of turn. 4, 3 and a blue. So interesting set of cards, and it is interesting to see. This is the bit that fascinates me. Is these cards, as of now, have never been reprinted, and so what I tend to find is, of course, I'm not so familiar with them because unless I happen to be watching tournament play videos at a particular point in Magic's history, or I might be aware of some Eternal format tournament deck, I tend to forget about these cards. And when I went through this, as we were going through now, the first time I've been through it properly, the only ones that I really recognised, I think, were Illusionary Servant. This may well have been in some deck for Jewels of the Planeswalker, I think, I'm not sure. But there was one here which was the green one? See if we can find it again. Yeah, Great Sable Stag. And that could possibly because I may have seen this in tournament play when I was watching it on YouTube at the time, or different places. There's some interesting pro colour stuff in the set, which we'll get onto in a moment as well. Okay, so let's just have a quick look at how this is all sort of subdivided up. So you can see here we got 3 cards in white out of the 26, and Wall of Faith is a common, Rockspike Master is an uncommon, and then Guardian Seraph is rare. So we'll go in and just see if there's anything interesting to talk about. So yeah, armoring. So interesting term, a toughness pumping ability. See also fire breathing red and shade pump in black. So 37 cards that fall into that category, the pump toughness. Now that could be ones that do it. So you can see here, this one does it symmetrically. So it does because it's here, but it's this one they're talking about. This is why this is in here. So a purely toughness pumping ability as opposed to one that does both. That's why you're not seeing so many. but as I've shown you there, some of them just like the base pump might be both power and toughness, or they might have one like this which has got both on it in terms of the fire breathing here and the armor effect. And you may see in some sets abilities that get repeated over cycles, quite possibly, but I don't know if this is the case here. I'd have to do is first printing. Just see if we get like a group of cards where that's the case. I don't know if it is. Oh, hang on. Let's do this by release date. Does help, doesn't it? There we go. What I'm looking for is where maybe it's repeated over several cards. Here have we got the only two here. We got the stone Cavu and the Cavu glider. Interesting. That's not in the same set. Okay. So no, we aren't seeing it here. Okay, it's good to know. So Vish even Dragon, and no one does red green. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Rocks Pike Master. Tribal Soldier, okay, gives first strike. 47 tribal soldiers. So that's where, you've got a soldier that has something in addition. I think is this now a, interesting, so that's a human knight. Oh, big ad, I see now, yeah, number of soldiers, so that's why. So somewhere it's mentioning soldier. There we go. Yeah, I imagine gives first strike is 244 cards. Okay. Guardian Seraph. Okay, let's have a look. Absorb. What's this? Okay, so that's just the straight non-creature version. Static ability printing. Fixed number of damage to permanents or players. That's what absorb is. We've got 24 of those. Some equipment, and oh look, this looks like that's a cycle of them, isn't it? From what set would that be? I'm not very good on set symbols, unfortunately. That'll be Odyssey. So it looks like there's a cycle in Odyssey from different colour sources. That was from Commander Anthology, which would have also been in the original. That's from Dark Steel. Oh, I do like. That's cool artwork. Nice. Okay. So that's absorb. What else have we got here? Well, evasion is, yeah. Creatures are harder to block through keywords, flying, menace, yeah. Whole range of things that make them harder to block. Damage prevention U, 153 cards. So yeah, there's a lot of these older cards. Damage will reduce your life total to less than 1, reduces it to 1 instead. That sort of thing. So if a source and opponent controller do damage, you prevent one of that damage. So you're just preventing one. Now, because of there's so many cards I'm talking about here, I'm not going to go into Cube Cobra for everything, but let's do a quick look. What would that be synergistic with? Seraph of the Sword, prevent all combat damage. So I imagine a lot of these are going to be prevent all combat damage, or some sort of life gain, some sort of yeah. What do I tend to call them? Don't die decks. Yeah. Actually, saying that, I'll probably end up going through all of these on Cube Cobra, but actually, the soldier one looks interesting, doesn't it? Synergizes with, well, yeah, you've got it. Other soldiers. Yeah, interesting. It's an interesting set, isn't it? No other versions on that one. I might, extend this sort of slicing where I'm looking at cards that have never been reprinted up to now from a set. I'm going to do it generally on core sets initially, but I might selectively pick certain sets where, there's been subsequently a lot of reprints. I don't know how easy that's going to be, because I end up with quite a lot. It's just with the core sets, I know I'm going to end up with a lot less, because half of the set already is a reprint anyway. So yeah. Right, blue now. Okay, so we have a mythic here. So we've got Convincing Mirage, Disorient, keep wanting to say disorientate, Disorient, Illusionary Servant, Serpent of the Endless Sea, Zephyr Sprite, and Sphinx Ambassador. Okay. Yeah, so with these ones they sort of change the basic land type. Doesn't look too complicated, does it? So the affected land loses its existing land types and any abilities printed on it. It becomes a chosen basic land type and now has the ability to tap to add 1 mana of the appropriate colour. Convincing Mirage ability doesn't change the affected land's name or whether it's legendary or basic, in case that has an impact. Some of those cards, I think that when you're bouncing a land may be very specific to the type of land it is. So yeah. Yeah, land conversion. So there's a number of cards that do this. For some reason, I always tend to. Excuse me. For some reason, I always tend to remember Contaminated Ground, and of course things like Blood Moon. Oh, nice glaciers. Okay. Oh, I love this artwork. Do I feel an Enchantment of Ice Age episode coming on? I think I might do. Oh, of course, Magical Hack, yeah. Wow. There's Mystic Compass. Well, that's an interesting card. Alliances, if you want the Black Border version. 2 to cast, and for 1 you get to change a target land to it's a basic land type of your choice until end of turn. Oh, of course, Orcish Farmer, yeah. So, I suppose, what would you? I was just thinking, like no hand, no land type deck. It's a bit of a softer approach than maybe blowing up a land. Although in some instances you can see some of those make your opponent's lands completely useless in certain decks. Single English word name. How often does that happen? 1,237 times in Magic as of this video. Okay, what have we got? Do we get any? No, it's pretty okay, not overly complex. Okay. I didn't really know what to expect there. Yep, so drawback, well, it's illusion ability. And the actual illusion ability. So there are 28 cards. So let's have a look at this. Release date. It's got Phantasmal Image as well. I like that card. Is first printing. Okay, Skulking Ghost from Mirage. So, I don't know, they haven't written, no, okay, that's now a spirit. So yeah, they haven't sort of retrospectively given it an illusion type. Here we go, Gossamer Phantasm. That must have been a, what would you call them? There it is, colour shifted. Oh, there we go, colour shifted of Skulking Ghost. Yeah, this is great fun to go through and have a look at some of the colour shifted stuff in Plane of Chaos. So, particularly useful if you're looking for something, a particular type of card for a commander deck where it's an ability or type of ability that you wouldn't normally see in that colour. Have a look through Plane of Chaos. See if there's anything in there that you can grab. Oh, here we go. So I reckon the deck that I'm thinking of was the M12, that M12 deck, and unfortunately I don't have one to hand. I can't remember what they called them. I don't think they were referred to as tournament decks. But the idea was that they were more powerful than intro decks, and you know, effectively you wouldn't lose quite so badly on at NFNM when you're for the first time you play Magic, maybe. Although, of course, some of them were quite complex to play, so I don't know if you'd want to have one as your very first deck. But yeah, I've got a sneaking suspicion they did one for a core set for M12. So. And of course it didn't just feature cards from the core set, it basically featured cards that were legal in standard at the point the deck was created. And as we've discussed before, it did create a few problems. There was one particular one that was released with a set where they then promptly banned one of the cards in it. And I believe you could still play the deck as long as you didn't alter the card composition. You did it in its original form. Yeah, well, Spectral Prison. Right. Oops. Okay. Serpent of the Endless Sea. Ooh. Interesting. Land home. Refresh my memory here. An old two-part mechanic. You had to control a land of a certain type, and so did the opponent. Okay. Oh, yeah, they're standard. Right. It often got used in just one of the halves, so we tag either half. Okay. Yeah. Can't attack unless defending player controls an island. When you control no island, sacrifice. Dandon. Can you see underneath there? That was yeah, time spiral, time shifted, so that's if we do his first printing, you'll see where that came from. Pirate ship. So yeah, Arabian Nights. Giant shark. Skeleton ship. That's a blue-black legend. Anytime you control no islands, bury skeleton ship. Tap, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. So yeah, interesting command if you want to play around with, you know, -1/-1 counters in various guises. There's another legend. We've got ships here which became human soldiers. So yeah, so vehicles before there were vehicles, but they didn't become vehicles because they don't behave like a vehicle in Magic. Yeah. There's Bog Servant, which is, what would that be? We're gonna, yeah, let's just be lazy here. Oh, Sea Serpent, there you go. Where's it gone? There. Yep, Alpha. Was reprinted though, so if you do want to see Sea Serpent, yeah. Whiteboard, of course. Cheapest black border version would be beta one at $8. 5 and a blue for a 5/5. What else did I spot here? So yeah, restricted attacker. So there's 104 of those. You got things like Blind Spot Giant. Might be a more recent one, well, relatively recent one that people might recognise, I suppose. Not that recent. Okay. Yeah, Mario Sorcerer. Creatures that scale in power and toughness with a number of lands you control. 63 of those. I saw these, this was cool, where you've got legendary creatures but in this style of framework. It just makes them really stand out. That might be another thing that's worth doing slices on, is certain sets have really interesting sets of legendaries that you don't usually see necessarily, so that's quite a cool thing to have a look at. And got Zephyr Sprite, that's 1/1 for 1. So there's quite a few cards listed here that it's either better than or worse than. You know, lots of low cost, low power toughness flyers where, you know, they're variants of things. Maybe they've got additional abilities that make them more powerful. So you know, Mockingbird is better than Zephyr Sprite. Zephyr Sprite's worse than it. And then we've got Zephyr's Gull, which is similar to 1/1 for 1 with flying. French Vanilla, Evasion, Flying Men. That's a pretty old card. It's another time spiral, time shifted one. And Sphinx Ambassador. This could potentially be the most interesting, but we'll see. So what have we got with this? Whenever it deals combat damage to the player, search that player's library for a card. Then that player names a card. If you search for a creature card that isn't the named card, you may put it onto the battlefield under your control, and that player shuffles his or her library. So Sphinxes might be an interesting slice to do at some point. I've just got to find a set with enough Sphinxes in, I suppose. Okay, rules and information. Right, you may search for any card, not just a creature card. Of course, if you choose a non-creature card, you won't be able to put it onto the battlefield, no matter what the card, what card the player names. If you've chosen a card during the search, you must clearly indicate which card you've chosen, preferably without showing the front of that card to the player. Then the player names a card. After the player names a card, check if the card you choose has that name. If it doesn't, but it's a creature card, you may put it onto the battlefield. If you don't want to put that card onto the battlefield, it's not a creature card, or it does have the name the player said, it simply stays in that player's library without ever being revealed. The player then shuffles their library, including that card. A creature card is any card with the type creature, even if it has other types such as artifact, enchantment, or land. Older cards of type summon are also creature cards. Yeah, you probably noticed that, and a number of times we looked at older Magic the Gathering cards. They have creature cards have summon on them, which is another reason why we get into lots of discussions about creature types being errated, and because there was only enough room for like summon and one creature type, or at the time there was, and then they altered that to have more in. So evasion, sabotage, shoot your creature to the battlefield. Mini game, yep. So 111 cards that introduce what they call a mini game. Theft of creature, yeah. 212 of those. Tutoring from an opponent, 17 of those. So it doesn't occur that much. Tutoring from an opponent, sorry. And tutor to battlefield, 438 cards that do that. They go straight onto battlefield. And there's 206 cards that tutor creature cards. So of course you can tutor to it. You could tutor to your hand, but this particular card tutors to the battlefield. And that saboteur term that we've come across quite a few times now actually affects the trigger when you deal combat damage to an opponent. So there's a number of cards that the effect, whatever it might be, in this case with this card, it's this search business. Yeah. So you deal combat damage, you get to do something. Control changing effects. Okay. Yeah. I bet there's 653 of those. Okay, what have we got that it synergizes with? Oh, my tummy's gurgling. Blatant thievery. Okay, yep. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, looks like fun police type stuff. Okay, moving on. 3 black cards, all common. Can't be black disturbed by black creatures. So that's interesting. What do you want that to be classified as? So it is evasion, but it's not fear, because fear is what? Black and artifact creatures. Unique type line. No other card has the same type line. creature type erratum. So what's this errata to? Oh, human wizard warlock, that's why. So yeah, not because it's just a human wizard, because there's quite a number of human wizard, but it's a human wizard warlock. Killing a bat. Okay, so evasion French vanilla, but so yeah, similar cards. I suspect a few of these are going to be functional reprints. We'll see. So Dusk Imp, yeah, definitely. 2/1 with flying for 2 and a black. Gloom Hunter, 2 and a black, 2/1 flying. Feral Shadow, 2/1s. That was from. Yeah, I'll look at that actually. What was that? Was that ever? So that was from the starter deck. It's the starter set, the starter 1999. But originally from Mirage, and was in Portal as well. That's pretty cool Portal artwork. Yeah, for this episode I'm all over the map. I'm going down all sorts of rabbit holes here. So similar to Moaning Spirit. Yeah. So yeah, quite a number of functional reprints there. Soul Bleed. Opponent loses life. So parasitic card. So 44 taggings that have this parasitic effect of as long as they're sitting there, doing whatever they're doing. So they could be like this, aura. So creature enchantments, enchanting something. They're leeching life, I suppose. Psychic venom. Got things like stab wound as well. What does that make you think of? Game of Thrones? White Walker? Okay, what do I want to talk about on Cube Cobra? Okay, what synergies have we got here? Yeah, it's all over the map really, isn't it? What was they drafted with? Oh, Doomblade. Oh wow, we've got some classic cards here. Doomblade, Mind Rot, Soul Warden. Yeah. Gravedigger, Rod of Ruin. Duress. Sign in Blood. Okay. Child of Night. That's that 2/1 for 2 with lifelink. Okay, 5 red cards. 4 uncommons, 4 commons, 1 uncommon. Okay, burst of speed. Anything interesting there? Gives haste. What's this song of... I don't know. Okay. So it creates a black rock creature token. Which has creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. Interesting. There's multiples as well. Okay. What's that Pied Piper theme, obviously? Oh, okay. Jackal Familiar's got a few rules here. Yeah. What does it mean to can't attack or block alone? can't be declared as an attacker during the declare attacker step unless at least one other creature is also declared as an attacker at that time, either by you or your two-headed giant teammate. Can't block alone has a similar meaning. Note that the other blockers doesn't have to block the same attacker as Jackal Familiar. Once it's been legally declared as an attacking or blocking creature, how many other creatures it's attacking or blocking with no longer matters. For example, if Jackal Familiar and Canyon Minotaur both attack, then Canyon Minotaur leaves the battlefield. Jackal Familiar continues to attack even though it's now attacking alone. So it just gets checked at a certain point. An effect may put Jackal Familiar onto the battlefield attacking even if no other creatures are attacking. That's because it wasn't declared as an attacker in this case. Okay. Similarly, an effect that may put Jackal Familiar onto the battlefield blocking even if no other creatures are blocking. That's a good point actually, because there's cards that do that. So yeah. Let's have a quick look in here. Restricted blocker, yeah. Pretty straightforward I think as to what we may or may not see here. So you got things like Cloud Elemental. It's probably one that springs to mind. Oh, there's Bog Servant again. And there's some, you know, that you get a number of red creatures that are very much at home in some sort of red weenie deck where they've got, you know, they're overpowered for where they are on the curve, but they've got some downside or some caveat. Look, Orcish Conscripts. 2/2 for 1. Can't attack unless at least 2 other creatures attack. Can't block unless at least 2 other creatures block. Classy artwork. Yep. What did I? Sorry. I went in there, didn't I? I meant to go in here. Because I was curious. Oh yeah, look. So Red Deck Wins type cards. So red aggro, red white aggro. Yeah, no surprise there. Right. Viashino Spear Hunter. Right. So another one where there's quite a number of cards that are similar-ish. So we've got 2/1 for 3 with First Strike. So we have a 2/2 for 3 with First Strike and Renown, which is so Viashino Spear Hunter is worse than that. But there's quite a few here that are better than Viashino. So Dragon Soul Knight, yeah. Prickly Marmoset, Rust Monster, Spearpoint Oreed, is that? Blood Ogre, Ogre Battlecaster, Reckless Racer, and then similar to a Saber-Toothed Tiger, 2/1 for 3 with First Strike. So yeah, functional reprint. Oh, excuse me, wow, my voice, of a Saber-Toothed Tiger. Yawning Fissure. Okay, so just some information about how sacrificing land works in the context of this card. Okay, so I'd be curious about this. So 41 taggings, including Braid's Cabal Minion. Yeah. So let's have a look here. Let's go in properly, shall we? Yes, I thought perhaps Braids may make an appearance in some guys. Oh, Land Equilibrium. Pox. So yeah, some of these you're going to find they do sacrifice on other things. or the context within which they do that is slightly different. Now I've got destructive flow. Raids from Odyssey, which does artifact, creature or land, and it is a legend. So yeah, if you're wondering, yeah, most certainly banned in Commander. Was reprinted in Eternal Masters and Modern Horizons. Burning Sands. Okay. And there's smallpox. Large pox. Okay. So we've got pox, smallpox and large pox. Right, Infernal Elemental. Infernal? I mean Inferno. Okay, so what we've got here going on. When your blocks becomes blocked by a creature, Inferno Elemental deals 3 damage to that creature. It's 4/4 for 6. Okay. So some stuff about the triggers and how it resolves. Yeah, and this is really important to remember. So the damage, this part of the damage that it's dealing, is not combat damage. Okay. Yeah, Infernal Elemental will still deal its combat damage as normal unless all the creatures that blocked it or blocked by it have left the battlefield by the time the combat damage step begins. Of course, there could be other stuff going on as well that deals with the combat damage in some way, but yeah. So yeah, you're getting the usual combat stuff plus this additional 3 damage. Fun times. Oh, does that have a name? Oh, combat ping. There you go. So yeah, block trigger. So it's got a block trigger. Yeah, blocks or becomes blocked. Hate blocker. Hates being blocked. Hates on blockers. Synergy blocker self. Combat ping. Okay, so there's 17 cards with combat ping. So when did combat ping become a thing? Its first printing. Don't you just love these Voyage of Discoveries down? Unusual tags. Or tags you tend to forget about. Oh yeah, the Flowstone Salamander. There's also a thing I think called isn't it a Flowstone effect as well, which I think is something a little bit different. Yeah, if you this business +1 -1. I think they call them Flowstone effects from what I can remember. Yep, or Flowstone tag. Abilities that grants +N, -N, or -N +N. So, yeah. But that one doesn't. Flowstone in name only, but not by ability. A few goblins here. I do like this. Uncommon. I should see if I have this card. I'm pretty sure I opened quite a few M10 packs maybe over time. I'm trying to remember what's been in various other sets other product outside of M10. There was one particular Corsair which I seemed to open a ton of stuff, and I can't remember if it's M11 or M12 or M10, sometime in that period. Yeah. Right, so that's all the red stuff, I think. Okay, green stuff. Bramble Creeper. Okay. Attack trigger, synergy, attack self. Fair enough. It's got this interesting +5/+0 business, which isn't specifically tagged. Emerald Onyx. So what have we got here? We've got most of these are common. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then an uncommon, then a rare. It's got Forest Walk. Oh, worse than Elite Cat Warrior, which is a 2/3 for 3. This is a 2/3. This is a 2/3 for 4. Both have Forest Walk. Entangling Vines. Yeah, interesting thing. Yeah, seeing in green. So doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Can enchant only creature that's tapped. If at any time the enchanted creature is untapped, Tangling Vines is put into its owner's graveyard as a state-based action. If it's cast as a spell, it can target only a tapped creature. If the creature has become tapped by the time Entangling Vines will resolve, it's become untapped. It's countered, put into the owner's graveyard from the stack. So you could, if you wanted to, and you had a means to tap a creature that this was trying to enchant, yeah, that would deal with it. Lockdown. So similar to Glimmerdusk Snap. Removal creature. I'm curious as to, with these, let me just try and see if I can see this, because I'm just wondering with where it locks down a creature in the different colours, like how often this occurs. What's the first printing? What's the frequency? So if we do, let's go through here. So 5 cards in white. You can see shackles here. So again, you remember this. There might be other cards that do additional things in addition to this as well, of course. So it might be why you're looking at going, well, I wonder why it's not showing that card. So yeah. So it's specifically to do with, tapping down, or should I say not tapping down, basically stopping stuff from, untapping. So mostly blue, few in black, red, and then green. So yeah, there's 5 green cards that do it. So yeah. Mainly blue. And if you're wondering about something like, say, I don't know, pacifism, for example. Oh, would help if I spelt pacifism correctly. Yeah, enchanted creature can't attack or block. So yeah, different way of doing things. Now you probably noticed as well, I was looking at lockdown creatures. There's a tag here that's just lockdown generally. So yeah, this is just any permanent that might be, whether it's a creature, some other permanent, which would be has the ability to be tapped or would find itself in a tapped scenario. Yeah, So you can see a few more cards there. Miss Leopard, which has Shroud on it. Yep, so French vanilla here. Regenerate. So yeah, so this, generate target creature, so it's protecting a creature, 530 of those cards. Shares a name with a mechanic. Regenerates other. So yeah, worse than Gaia's Gift, Mortal Resolve, Tamio's Safekeeping Wrap in Vigor, Mending Touch, Reknit, and then Withstand Death. So that does it, that's doing, so this is regenerating, this is protecting something through Indestructible. And of course, as you can probably gather, there's 34 cards in Magic which share a name with a mechanic, although it might not relate to that mechanic. So, there's quite a number of cards which have, or creatures that have Regenerate stapled to them. Mold Adder, which is uncommon. Yeah, so here there's clarity about, what this whole, whenever an opponent casts a blue or black spell, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Mold Adder. So notes and rules around that. So if they cast a blue or black spell, Mold Adder's ability triggers and is put on the stack on top of that spell, Mold Adder's ability will resolve before the spell does. And yeah, if it's a spell that's both blue and black, then it triggers only once. That's actually a good point. So it's blue or black. Cast trigger other. Yeah, I'm going to look at this actually because this was interesting. This is, I think, the only card we're going to look at which is a cycle, but it's interesting as how it forms part of that cycle actually. So, oh look, Mana Gorger. Cards that grow bigger when players cast spells. So there's 14 cards that are Mana Gorgers, if you're curious. And Taurine Mauler might be one that people are familiar with. I've seen this in a few commander decks that I've looked at. And you've got things like Witchmore Nephilim, which was the that cycle of 4 colour cards, first ones. Yeah, 8 blue, 8 black, unique type line, gains PP counters. Okay. Cast trigger other, 117 ones that fall into that particular category. And then Great Sable Stag. Yeah, so Great Sable Stag can be targeted by spells that try to counter it, such as Cancel. Those spells will resolve, but the part of their effect that would counter Great Sable Stag won't do anything. Any other effects those spells have will work as normal. Although the reminder text doesn't say so, Great Sable Stag also can't be equipped by blue or black equipment. So it's obviously something you have to be careful of when you're thinking about this. Iteration 8 blue, 8 black, 8 counter spell, of which there are 134 taggings, 152, 94. So yeah, and sort of cards versus the colour pie, there's going to be, variance there. So, you know, if you go through the colour pie, so, right, so what's next on the colour pie? Blue, black, red, and then green, and then I suppose, oops, assuming that's a thing, yep, and then colourless, which I'm assuming is spelt like that. Yep. Okay. Let's have a look at the cube Cobra. Oh wow, some classic cards here. Tarmogoyf, Baneslayer Angel, so looks like what we've got. Red, green, white. Yeah. Oh, there's Progenitus, so there's Wooburg stuff there. It's drafted. What about synergistic cards? Oh yeah, some interesting cards from around the time of Lorwyn. And some green-white stuff. I don't know if anybody remembers Loam Line from, that would be, that's the World Wake symbol, isn't it? I always get confused because the Zendikar and the World Wake symbol are very similar, but yeah, it's World Wake with the cross on it. So that's that, you know, single white gets +1/+2 as long as you control a forest. Oh yeah, Thornling, wow. Let's have a look at the mould adder, see where that crops up in. Oh, okay. I'm curious about Hexdrinker then. So that was a version, secret layer drop. Okay. Oh yeah, Experiment 1, Mystic Snake. Oh yeah, that's another favourite of mine. All Scale Cotlon. That was reprinted from 21 then. Right. Nice. Acidic Slime. Yep. Okay. Oh. So, our artifact or artifacts. So, Magebane Armour and Mirror of Fate. Okay. This is flying. So, you can equip a creature that doesn't have flying, loose flying fate just won't do anything. Because the equipped creature that is flying at the time it became equipped, an ability that grants a creature flying that starts to work later. So, yeah, jump resolves later, or a levitation that comes under your control later will work normally. So you can like levitate something after Magebane Armour has been put on it. Combat damage is the damage that's dealt automatically by attacking and blocking creatures, even if it's redirected by harm's way, perhaps. Non-combat damage is any other damage. Generally, it's damage dealt as the result of a spell or ability. Okay, have we got anything interesting in here? Well, it's just really damage prevention stuff, isn't it? So, 555 damage prevention cards and damage prevention creature 153. In terms of so let's just see. other artifacts that do a similar thing. Yeah. Oh, jade monolith, wow. Squeeze toy. Yeah, things like Oasis. And yeah, Daughter of Autumn. So this is the flip side. So this is stopping, what did I change it to? So damage prevention creature that's not an artifact. Because I was looking for something else, but I think that's damage prevention to yourself, the one I'm thinking of. Oh, there's Kitsune Ascendant. Marine Tail, should I say. Razia. There's a colour shifted card. Oh, okay, yeah, Vigor, these things. Those were those Cycle of Lorwyn incarnations. Interesting things to look at, actually. I don't know how widespread. The other thing that I could potentially do with really sort of niche types is just do it across the whole of Magic. So, you know, I'm not averse to doing that for these Scryfall Shenanigan episodes of picking a real sort of niche type and going, okay, well, yeah, where does this occur across the whole of Magic, and when on the timeline, and in what colours, those sort of things as well. So yeah, that's on the table as a possibility. Okay, Mirror of Fate. Interesting. Okay, choose up to 7 face up exiled cards you own. Exile all the cards from your library, then put the chosen cards on top of your library. Wow, that's pretty specialised. You don't choose exiled cards until Mirror of Fate's ability resolves. It doesn't matter how they wound up in the exile zone. Exiled cards are face up by default. They're face down if the effect that exiled them said so. Choose the order that the chosen cards are. So I'm really curious about this, actually, in Cube Cobra. So it's an egg, and that's artifacts that have to be sacrificed to do something, of which there are 161. And you can probably recognise things like, you know, Ether Spell Bomb and stuff like that. And you've got Astrolabe, Barb Sextant, which I don't know if we've spoken. And yeah, I'm going to at some point in one of my artwork videos that I'm doing, you know, 15 cards or whatever I'm calling it. I want to look at filter artifacts, so I'm sure Barbed Sextant will come up. But of course Black Lotus falls into this category as well. Yeah, so. And Chromatic Sphere. So these are sort of ones. So there's cards that filter mana, but then there's cards that, in order to filter the mana, you know, or change it from one type of mana to another, you actually have to sacrifice the card as well. So Recursion from Exile, 22 cards that do that. Now, of course, the big thing with this card is, like, how much stuff have you got in exile to make this worth doing? You know, so it's choosing up to 7 face-up exile cards you own. And then you've got to exile all the cards from your library, then put the chosen cards on top of your library. So you've got to be really careful with the library here. Yeah. but of course you can. You got to, yeah, again, you got to sack it, so it's not. So you can't think to yourself, oh, well, that's handy. What I can do is I can choose 7 from the cards I've already exiled. So in a format where you don't have one copy of this, yeah, it's sort of, you know, it's an egg, so it blows itself up. So therefore, with this, let's have a look and see what it gets drafted alongside. Okay. Was pariah. So, in terms of synergistic, then, what the hell would you play this? I imagine then, yeah, when they had Devoid, there were a number of cards that could stick, that could interact with the exiled zone, wasn't there? I think, which is fairly unusual. So, yeah, I have no idea. Off the top of my head, what sort of deck that might work in, but let's go down here, shall we? $1,706 decks. Oh, okay. So yeah, some sort of Zedru deck. There's a lot of new stuff here. Alright, we got here. Sunforger, Unnatural. What the hell's that? Okay. Oops. Where do I need to go here? Okay, not that. That's better. Magebane Armour. Didn't go down this route, I don't think. Oh, look at all that lovely artifact goodness. Yeah, get up to all sorts of Voltron shenanigans. Oh, my favourite, EDHRec. Then if we go into here, I'm sure we'll end up down a similar route, no doubt. So Ashling deck. Here we go, look. Ashling equipment deck. Oh, look at all these. Basilisk collar, Loxodon Warhammer. Doesn't it make you smile? Dark Steel Plate. Stuffy Doll. Oh yeah, Shadow Spear. Scythe of the Wretched. That good stuff. There's a Heartstone there. Right. Moving on. So yeah, this is the actual EDH ranking of the 26 cards. So yeah, Sphinx's Ambassador. Top of the pile. Top Commanders. Is there a... Oh, there you go, Sphinxes. Awesome. So there you go. If you want to play Sphinxes. Look at that stuff. Bit of Sphinx action there. And then bottom of the pile, go all the way down. $37 decks. I don't know if he's even suggesting... Well, under creatures we've got this. So... Oh, Gadaxius. Unsummoned. Yeah. Yeah, so you remember I highlighted that one of the cards was part of a cycle. So if you ever just want to do that generally in a set, is to use this OTAG cycle, and that should successfully show any cards that are part of a cycle, whether or not the whole cycle is in the set or not. And as you can see, what's interesting that's happened with M10 is that this is a cycle, but the rest of the cycle are cards that are not unique. That's why we're just seeing this card. So yeah, so if you think about it, what is it? So what we're asking is show all the unique cards that are part of a cycle, but the rest of the cycle in the set, the cards are not unique. This is the cycle from M10 that it forms part of, and you can see they existed before M10. So we've got a couple from Conflux. We've got a couple from Cold Snap. And you might find this in certain core sets. Right? It's come up before, I think, where this idea of a cycle of cards that maybe like hate on two colour combinations. Somebody sometimes like shift around the cycle a little bit and stuff comes in and out. But this is interesting to see. You know, we've got a set M10 where literally just one of the cards wasn't a reprint of anything, and it hasn't subsequently been reprinted. These ones, as you can see, you know, as I pointed out, existed before, but they have been reprinted in subsequent Magic sets, and probably is the case, except with Ignite Ignite Disorder was never reprinted after this. But with these, I think Flash Freeze, Deathmark and Celestial Purge, certainly from what I remember, if my memory is correct, you know, crop up in various of the enemy hate cycles in core sets, but with different bedfellows. So you can see this one, we've got Autumn's Veil, Celestial Purge, Combust, Deathmark, Flash Freeze, as opposed to that. And the MM2 one. So you can see it's they've changed out the green card on a few occasions there. And interesting as well, different Deathmark artwork. Because the first time I probably saw this, I'm trying to remember actually whether, I must have pulled some from 10th, but for some reason this one sticks in my head more, maybe because it's been reprinted more times in core sets. So, yeah. And Ignite Disorder, if we go back to Conflux, that was had its own set, its own cycle in Conflux, of which Celestial Purge was part of that cycle, but the other three colours were different things. So it's if you're interested in that sort of thing, it is an interesting rabbit hole to go down. Is look for cycles of cards where they've been reprinted, the cycle's been changed, and then you can go down all these really weird, side cycles by going in and looking at when it's been reprinted, and then seeing if it was in a different cycle with different cards in a reprint, those sort of things. So again, that sort of stuff just fascinates me. It does or it doesn't. So there we go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. This is probably a rather long video, but yeah, I was really looking forward to doing this. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks once again for watching. Bye for now. And I will catch you in a future video.